Well, good morning, everyone. Michael, soothing here. Yes, I'm up early today because I knew the silver market was going to explode today in an upward direction. So I thought I would do a little bit of a ramble about silver investment since I am heavily overweighted in that sector as far as my retirement accounts go. I've got about 40% of those retirement accounts in precious metal investments, and most of that is in silver. So about 2/3 silver, and the rest is gold and platinum and so forth. So since the silver market is skyrocketing this morning, and I'm up earlier than usual, I thought I would do a ramble about the reasons why I'm invested there and why it might be doing well. But I need to give you a disclaimer, and the disclaimer is this: do not invest in anything based on what I'm doing. Do your own research. I'm only telling you why I am in that sector for your interest and entertainment. I am not giving investment advice, okay? So if I were giving you investment advice, my first advice would be to invest in your spiritual future, God's kingdom, all right? This managing of my retirement account is just a little hobby to try to make some income, to do travel and pass something on to my kids and things like that. But it is not my primary passion. So if you were to buy something in the future and make a gain based on seeing this video, I want full credit. And if you buy something and take a giant loss based on this video, I have nothing to do with it. Okay, there you go. That's my disclaimer. So for those of you who say, wait, you're a Christian, aren't you supposed to be unconcerned about, have no interest whatever in finance? Well, no, you're supposed to be a good steward of what God gives you. I give some of the money that I make to various causes, including the church, all right? And it's not true that Jesus said, money is the root of all evil, all right? Nor is it in the, nor is that in the New Testament. What the passage says is, the love of money is a root of many kinds of evil, and people have gone astray and pierced themselves with many a pang by making that an idol. Money's not an idol to me, but I do enjoy trying to make some gains in the market. So I'm going to talk silver today since it's going up. And of course I have some physical silver as part of my investment portfolio. You see a little bit of it here. And I've done coin collection videos before, so I won't belabor that much. But I'll just talk a little bit about, by the way, silver is so popular today that you can't even find a dealer who will sell you any or take an order. The big dealers like Approx, places like that, have stopped taking orders because they were so overwhelmed. So, but I'm not in the market to buy any physical silver. I have some in a vault, and I own some other silver investments with bullion I'll talk about later. But these are some of the ways you can buy silver. Most of my investment is not in this physical metal, although I have some. I have some in a safe deposit. I have some in a vault. I have some in an investment vehicle that I'll talk about later. You can buy online in an instant. SLV is the ticker symbol, or another one is PSLV. I own some of both. They're ETF funds that buy physical silver and track the price. But what do we have here? This is actually a proof coin, right? So it's a very nice silver eagle proof from the US Mint, but it's more of a collector coin. This one is 1997. See how reflective the fields are behind Lady Liberty there? So I enjoy doing some collecting silver. I have Morgan dollars and things like that from the past also. I enjoy that kind of collecting. Don't think I have any of them right here with me now. I'm not sure. I don't know what kind of silver this is, but I'm not gonna open it. It looks like it's a variety. Oh no, these are Canadian silver maple leaves. But I have some out here that you can see. This is one very popular way to own physical silver. American Eagles or Canadian maple leaves. There's the maple leaf on the back. And for my Canadian friends, I've used Canadian money many times. You guys have metal dollars up there and $2. You call them Toomey and Looney and Toonie. That's it, Looney and Toonie. So you can buy these rolls of Canadian dollars, silver dollars here, and that's a very popular way to own physical silver. I hope I don't make too much of a racket putting this back. No, that's pretty quiet actually. Again, because I'm also a coin collector, I try to never touch the top of the coin, the obverse or the reverse with my fingers, only the rim. Because when you have a pristine uncirculated coin like that, you don't ever really want to touch it with your finger. I did not touch that there. Because the oils on your finger will cause oxidization later. Uh-oh, now I am going to make a racket because I got those sideways. I'll fix that later. I'll just put these aside for now so I don't annoy you with loud metallic sounds. What's in here? Let's check and see. Maybe I should tell you why the silver market's going up while I'm showing you these coins, or trying to show them to you. Oh, I didn't peel off the other side is the problem. So let's peel off. And that's really stuck on there. I guess it's been sealed up for a long time, this particular roll of coins. Oh, these are just what they call rounds, silver rounds. So they're worth more than the price of silver per ounce, but they're not official minted currency coins. So these are modeled after a US coin. They're modeled after the, the silver eagle. It has a nice eagle on the back. But these are actually minted by, this is minted after, I'm sorry, not silver eagle. It's a replica of the Walking Liberty $50, which is one of my favorite collector coins. But this replica is minted by a commemorative copy, 1 troy ounce. They're minted by a private mint, and they are worth the current price of silver, along with a couple or $3 or $4 premium, although that premium may be higher right now. I'm sure these coins are worth well in excess of $30 a piece. So this roll of 20 is going to be worth over 600 bucks. So I have some rolls like this in storage, and this is just another roll of the same type. And again, I think it's going to try to make noise. If I put it back, let's see if we can put them back. But why is silver going up so much today? Well, the reason today it's going up quite a bit is because of a group of Reddit users. If you're familiar with that site, they build themselves as the front page of the internet. They have all those discussion groups on their site. Anyways, there's a subgroup on there. I don't think they call it a subgroup. It's something else it's called. But there's a group on there that belong to one of the subreddits, which is called Wall Street Bets, all about investing. And that group decided to go after some stocks that have been badly beaten down, and those stocks are heavily shorted. And if you don't know what shorting a stock means, I'll explain it in a different video. It means some big investment banks and hedge funds are driving that company's value down, the value of their shares down, by selling their shares into the market. But they're not selling shares they own, they're selling shares they don't own. Isn't that strange? It's a way to manipulate the market. They theoretically borrow shares from a brokerage, sell them into the market to drive the price down, because they anticipate that once the price is down low enough, they can buy back the shares a lot cheaper and replace them from where they borrowed them. And in the process, they pocket the difference between what they sold them for at a high level and what they bought them back for at a lower level to replace the borrowed shares. Well, GameStop, that retailer that's in malls that sells video games, they had all of their shares shorted. More than all, actually, which is impossible. But that shows the manipulation aspect of the market. And so, what does this have to do with silver, you're asking yourself? Well, those Reddit users decided to all get together and buy GameStop shares and drive the price up to make those short sellers lose money. And when that starts happening, the short sellers panic and they have to start buying shares to replace the ones they have borrowed that they sold and they never owned in the first place. And that creates what's called a short squeeze. And it doesn't mean it only happens for a short time. It means they're squeezing the shorts. We could make a joke here, but we won't, because we're a family channel. Anyway, let's say they get the short sellers by the gonads. That's the way we can put it. And so they drove GameStop stock up, this Reddit group, by doing this in a concerted effort with lots of investors piling in. They burned the shorts badly and drove the stock price up by 1,500% in a period of days. Good for them. The company is not worth anything remotely what its current valuation is, so I expect GME, GameStop, to drop like a rock over the next year. But nonetheless, they pulled off a great coup against the big boys. Good for them. Well, now they're turning their sights on other things and that have a big short interest in them, a big short position. And one of those things is silver. So they turned their attention to silver late last week around Thursday. And now the short squeeze in silver is beginning, because silver has a giant short position of about 900 million ounces. And that's more than the available inventory of silver, okay? So, but in the case of, this is totally unlike GameStop in many ways, because silver was actually not overvalued, it was greatly undervalued, in my humble opinion, and still is. Silver price today, as I speak, has been driven up by this Reddit group and other investors joining in to about $29 an ounce, whereas it was languishing around $25 an ounce. And so mining shares in silver are also skyrocketing today, up by 10 to 20%, many of them even more. So I'll talk about that a little later. So it's doing very well. What you want to know now is, what you're asking me is, how long will this continue and how high will it go? Okay, so I'll tell you definitively, I have no idea, okay? But when there's a frenzy of momentum buying, which has been characteristic of the market recently, I don't trust it long term. So even though I'm applauding the rise in silver today, because I hold so many investments in it, my reasons for being in it have nothing to do with this Reddit group launching an attack on the short position. My reasons have to do with the fact that it's undervalued relative to many other commodities and many other stocks in particular. Why, you say, do you think it's undervalued? Well, in 1980, if you can remember that far back, or you were alive then, which some of us were, silver hit an all-time high of $50 an ounce. I believe within the next year or two, silver is destined to hit that level again or surpass it. Now, in inflation-adjusted dollars, silver would have to go to at least $100 an ounce to reach that same level. Some would say much higher, to reach its previous peak. But why would it go up so much? Well, the stock market, the Dow Jones, for example, since 1980, has gone up about 2,000%, okay? Let's see, more than that actually, in excess of 2,000%. And silver has lagged way behind. It's not even remotely even caught up to its 1980 high. But why should it, you ask? What would make it more valuable today than it was then? Well, I'll tell you. Right now we have declining production in silver. There just aren't a lot of good producing mines, so the production is in decline by 200 or 300 million ounces a year over the last 3 or 4 years. At the same time, demand is rising, but not just investment demand, not just because the population is growing and people in China and India are becoming more wealthy and want to buy silver, although those are some reasons, not just because it's greatly undervalued relative to gold. See, right now, gold is close to $2,000 an ounce. But silver is, like 50th of that, even by today. Okay, it's only $29 in it. So, but in the world of geology and mining, only 8 ounces of silver come out of the ground for every ounce of gold. So a reasonable gold-silver ratio in dollar terms should be about 8 to 1. And yet it's many multiples higher than that. So as that ratio drops, the silver price will soar. To get parity to an 8 to 1 is where it should be relative to gold. So that's another reason. But that's not even the primary. There's a massive short position on silver by giant investment banks like JP Morgan. And they're going to have to buy that silver in the future and cover that short position. They actually own a lot of the silver that they are short selling. So in their case, they can cover without getting really badly burned, but they're market manipulators, and others are too. And someday they're going to be buying to cover a lot of those short positions. That will drive the price up in the long run. What are the other reasons? Well, what we have here, by the way, is 90% silver dimes. Any dimes that were made before 1964 were 90% silver instead of the cheap pot metal they make them out of today. So there's almost an ounce of silver in each face value 10 dimes. Now these happen to be little Roosevelt dimes. Nice and shiny. Very shiny. Very sparkly. That came out of this tube. Let's put them back and try not to touch the face of the coins as we do it. I might be touching them a little bit, but these are not collector coins, so I don't have to worry as much, because they're never going to be highly valued for their numismatic value. They have value based on their silver content, but even a roll of these is worth more than just its silver content, because it's so easily exchanged and traded in the investment world. That's the kind of stuff people want. Some people say if there's ever a total meltdown, a currency crisis, where the fiat paper currency we have in our hand no longer has any value because the government has printed too much and blown up the currency, that stuff like this will have trade value since it has an intrinsic precious metal content, which you can never take away. You can't print more silver. You can mine it, but it's being mined at a lower and lower rate as far as ounces coming out of the ground, whereas the consumption is going up. So let's talk about that for a minute. What else is going on with silver besides investment? Well, we have a new administration in this country and a worldwide push. I'm not going to talk politics for a minute. I'm not going to talk global warming. But no matter what I think about those things, what I know is coming is that there's going to be a giant push to eliminate carbon-based fuels and go to green, renewable energy sources. And one of those primary green energy sources the government is going to pour hundreds of billions of dollars into is solar panels and solar energy. Well, solar panels use a lot of, you guessed it, silver in their production. And where is that silver going to come from? The current administration wants to build in the next 3 years enough solar panels that it would take about 200 or 300 million ounces of silver to meet their new demand. And China will be doing something similar. There's another 200 or 300 million ounce demand. And silver is used in so many different types of electronics. It's going to be used more heavily in electric vehicles, in electronics, in all kinds of industrial uses, because its intrinsic properties as a metal are very interesting. As a material or an element, the elemental sign for silver is Ag, as you know. Well, Ag, these are called just rounds again. They're just replicas of other coins. Like, this is a replica of an Indian cent penny, from the late 1800s. But it's got 1 pure ounce of silver in it, and it's worth more than an ounce of silver because it's in a coin value. Whereas if you buy a silver bar, like a 100-ounce bar, for example, it would be pretty much worth the current price of silver per ounce, with a small premium. Whereas this would be worth a few bucks more, but a silver eagle would be worth several dollars more than the current price of silver per ounce. I don't know what these are going for today, with silver around 29 bucks. My guess is they're worth about 35 because they're so hard to get right now. There's way more demand than supply, but as I was saying before I so rudely interrupted myself, silver's properties, it's the most conductive metal there is. All right, it conducts electrons more efficiently than any other metal on Earth, including copper and gold. So it has a lot of uses in electronics, and those uses are increasing all the time. What are the other reasons silver may go up a lot in value? I think I have some junk, what they call junk silver here, which is used silver dimes. Let's pour some out and see. That's what this is. Yep. Mercury dimes from the 1930s and 40s. And if you see my coin collection videos, I'll talk to you there about mercury dimes. Look at my playlist called Coins or Coins and Silver. Coins, Silver, and Investment, something like that. That playlist on the list of my playlists, and you can find the other videos on coin collecting. But anyway, these are called junk silver because they're worth about, every 10 of these is worth about 1 ounce value of silver. Right now they're probably more than that because of this big rush on silver that nobody can find any to buy. So they're probably worth more for each 10. 10 of these would make roughly 1 ounce of silver. A little bit less because they're 90% silver and they've been worn down slightly, so their weight will be a little less. But I'm sure in today's market, every 10 is worth 29 or 30 bucks at least. And that's pretty good for a tiny little bit like that. But again, what are the other reasons I think silver is going to go up between $50 and $100? Not tomorrow, not next week, but over the next couple of years or so? Well, because we have rampant inflation coming, folks. Rampant inflation. Why? We have devaluation of the US dollar coming because we are piling up debt at a pace never before seen or even imagined. The government has printed trillions of dollars in stimulus spending and new debt over the last couple of years, and especially since COVID began, and they're intending to do even more than that over the coming year. Right now, Congress and the executive branch is talking about another $2 trillion in spending. Well, there'll be two effects to that spending. The first effect is that some of that money will find its way into the market. Equities, commodities like silver and other commodities, and that will drive prices higher. And the other effect is it's going to continue to devalue the US dollar. The dollar is going to become worth less and less and less over time. So just like if you took $1,000 at the time you were born and stuck it under your mattress, and then you pulled that out today and tried to spend it, it might be worth, well, in my case, about 1/10 what it was worth back when I stuck it under the mattress, right? It'd be worth 10 cents. Every dollar would be worth 10 cents. But meanwhile, the value of silver and gold, precious metals, maintain their value instead of going down and down and down. 10 of these dimes back in the 1950s was worth exactly about $1 in silver. But now 10 of these dimes is worth $30. All right? That shows you the decline in the value of the US paper dollar over time. Well, that decline is going to get even worse. So if you just save your money in the bank, you're automatically going to be losing, and losing some more over time. So to protect yourself, you need to be invested somewhere. And for me, that somewhere is in certain selected sectors of the market. I'll talk about some of the other sectors some other day, like green energy, solar, wind, some high-tech sectors that are innovative, uranium. You're going to say, uranium? Are you kidding me? Uranium mining. Yeah, I'll do a video on that sometime and explain myself. I believe certain uranium stocks will go up by anywhere from 400 to 800% over the next 3 or 4 years or 5 years. I'll explain that in the future. And I'll also explain what could go wrong and cause the sector to explode and collapse, all right? Because that is possible, just not likely. But anyway, back to silver, since that's our topic today. We'll talk other investments some other day. Interest rates. When interest rates are high, people can put their money into the bank or into bonds, and they can make a nice return on that money and interest. But the government has now set up a situation where rates are going to stay at virtually zero for the foreseeable future. So that kind of investment cannot compete with precious metals over the next few years, which is another reason why I'm buying into the silver market. I actually sold some of my silver mining positions today. Not much, about 20%. And you're asking the question right now, why would you do that on a day when the market is exploding higher? And since you have such a strong belief that silver is going up, well, I hold on to my core positions, okay? Not selling those. But I do a little bit of trading, and when I see a very rapid rise like what we see today, I believe that rise is probably not sustainable at its current pace, and there will be a pullback at some point. And just in case that happens, I want to protect some of my really good profits. So some of my mining shares that have gone up 40, 50, 60, 80% in the last few months and have kind of reached a peak today, I want to protect some of that profit by taking a few chips off the table, right? So that's what I did today. And of course the market could just continue to skyrocket for a while. And I won't mind that at all because I still have a huge allocation into that sector. I just moved some into cash so that if the market drops, I can buy some back cheaper. Well, what else can we say about it? I also have, of course, some gold. Do I have a gold coin here? Most of my gold coins are in a bank vault, a safe deposit. But when I was looking through my coins today, I forgot to put this one in with those, so I thought I would show it to you. This is minted by the U.S. Mint. It's a gold Indian dollar. Buffalo. You know, the gold buffalo it's called. They make American eagles, but they also make these gold buffaloes. This coin is worth a lot right now. Way more than the current gold price. They call this a $50 piece because that's what a gold coin used to be. Or that's what the current modern mint calls it. And it's legal tender in the U.S. as a gold piece. But nobody would use it as a $50 piece, of course. It's worth well in excess of, this coin is worth at least $2,000 today. But the reason I bought it, it's probably worth more than that. Because I wanted to own a coin that is classified by a top grading service as being a perfect coin, slabbed. And this one is. Do you see that? MS70. That means mint state 70. 70 is the highest you can get on the grading scale. So that is considered a perfect coin. Almost all coins are less than that, including the vast majority of uncirculated coins. Almost none of them are mint state 70. They might be a 69 or a 68, 66, but I wanted a perfect coin, so maybe that's why I kept this with my collector coins. I don't know. This is a long ramble, but I know you like. I got a variety of silver here. You can go to my coin collecting videos for seeing what some of these are. Like I have some old Franklin uncirculated $50 here that are silver. And those have some collector value as well as silver content value. I call them premium PBU, premium brilliant uncirculated. Once upon a time, a couple decades ago, I bought tons of these uncirculated Franklins, and I went through them and picked out the very best examples that were pristine, perfect condition, and put them in this roll, and eventually sold the other ones back into the market. Here's a Franklin that's a proof coin, proof 64, uncirculated, but do you see what I mean? It's not close even to a 70. Worth a lot of money though, compared to a normal Franklin silver $50, because it's graded and it's a proof coin. Then I have Morgan dollars. These are the real silver dollars of the Western days. And this one, and beyond, they minted these up to 1921 Morgan dollars. But this one is 1900, a millennial coin in very nice condition. Can you see the date? I'll hold it up close, 1900 there, right? Now this one happens to be very nice. Although it's not super high grade, the feathers on the eagle are not super well defined on the breast part, for example. You know, that means the die was a little bit old when they were stamping this coin, pressing it. But I like these 1900s. I have one here in a holder. But anyway, on to why. And then I have some I sent in for grading, and that I just bought as bulk rolls, but any that I thought would be mint state 60 or better, I had them sent in and graded, because then their value goes up a lot if they're mint state, say 62 or more. This one is a 62. I sent it to PCGS back when I was, buying lots of these and then weeding through them to find the very best ones I could send in for grading. Here's one, another one. This one's mint state 63. But I don't want to talk too much about collecting today. That could be, I have a gold coin in here. Well, this is my favorite coin of all time. I even have it in a baggie. Why did I do that? I don't know. To protect the holder. This is a mint state 63, 1922 St. Gaudens gold piece that was used back in those days as legal tender medium of exchange. Isn't that a beautiful coin? Many consider this one in the top 3 of beautiful coin designs. And I do too. It's in my top 3 favorites. The next 2 would probably be the silver Standing Liberty quarter and the silver Walking Liberty $50. Let's see if I have one of them. Oh yeah, here's one. Here is the Standing Liberty quarter. This one is dated 1922. I have an uncirculated example here. I'm getting back into the collector discussion again instead of the silver investment thing. So let's get off this collector coin thing. Well, I told you I loved the Walking Liberty half also. So I'll show you one of those. Then we'll get back to silver investment stuff. There's the Walking Liberty $50. There. Beautiful coin design in my opinion. Guy named Weinman designed it. What's the date on this? 1941 is this one. These were still being made in the 40s before they came out with the Franklin, I have to sip some tea. I'm getting sore from this long ramble. Such a complicated topic. I have here in my notebook somewhere, I take notes on the companies that I want to invest in or that I did invest in. And I will go through those notes and discuss something about some of those. As you can see, these are my chicken scratching notes for a long list of, I have about 44 different mining share companies I'm invested in. And so I'll go through in a future video soon and talk about why I invest in them, what's good or bad, what I look for in a mining company, because you know there's hundreds and lots of them are scams. You don't want to invest in a company that says, oh, we're drilling for silver and gold and we're right on the verge of finding something great and our stock's going to go from 10 cents where it is now to $10 and we'll make 10,000%. Okay, that's possible, yes. And some companies do hit it big that way. But that's not where you, that kind of money is risk capital that you, when you make a play like that, you have to expect that you may lose all of your money that you put in. So it's highly risky to invest in that kind of a silver mining venture. Instead, there's what's called senior producers and mid-tier producers and junior producers and explorer developers and explorers who already have a proven resource that they're developing or proving out. So I invest across that entire spectrum: senior, producer, mid-tier, junior, and I'll explain that in a future video. I have spread my allocation. So yeah, in my overall silver investment scheme, I probably have 5%, 5 to 10% of that in some highly risky risk-reward plays that I hope will make 500 or 1,000% gains. But I'm prepared to take a massive loss if they don't, because they're only a tiny portion of my total investment portfolio. And if you were to put, say, 5% of your investment portfolio into high risk, high reward plays like that, you might buy, say, 5 of the best ones and expect 4 to fail and 1 to gain 1,000%. Well, the one that gained 1,000% made you enough gain to offset the other 4, see? But you still only use a tiny percent of your investment capital if you're going to be a speculator like that. And I'm too old. I'm retired now. I can't remake the money I saved during my aerospace career, put into my 401k retirement. That's the money I'm managing now. So I don't want to be a big gambler with that money. In fact, you might be surprised to learn that I have a third of my investment accounts uninvested, just sitting in cash in money market funds, even though I believe the value of the dollar is going to decline drastically over the next few years. Why do I have it there? Because if the stock market bubble overall should pop, I want to have capital on the sidelines to shove in. Be quiet out there. Be quiet, I say. I want to have capital sitting on the sideline that I can then shove into the market at much lower prices. That's what I did in March when the market fell so much this last year. the market overall collapsed. Gold and silver and miners collapsed along with it. It made for a perfect buy opportunity. Buy low, sell high, not the other way around, right? So I will go through a lot of these investments. But for example, if we don't talk about mining shares, if you want to buy silver in the stock market, you can do it by buying a entity called SLV. That would be the ticker sign. I think that's on my other page. Yeah, I have 2 pages of notes. But SLV just buys silver bullion. And if people buy, say, $1 million worth of SLV today, then SLV goes and buys $1 million worth of silver bullion. And they store it in vaults. So it's a way to invest in silver that's liquid, that's very rapid. You can trade it, you can buy and sell it in a moment. And you don't have to worry about storing it and all of that. You don't have to insure it, store it, protect it. No one's going to, try to shoot you and steal your SLV shares, okay? So it has its advantages. It's a great way to trade the silver market. And then there's another fund like that, an ETF called PSLV. That's the Sprott Physical Silver. And the advantage of PSLV is that the silver's actually allocated to the investor. So when you buy PSLV, they buy a silver amount exactly equivalent to what you have purchased. So that they have certain advantages. So I own some of both. But those aren't mining companies. So in the next video, I'll go through the mining shares and talk about them, why I own some of them, the advantages and disadvantages of each. What do we have here? What's in this one? See, I enjoy looking at my collection once in a while. I haven't gotten it out since the last video. Here's a John F. Kennedy silver $50. John F. Kennedy. These aren't worth much. I mean, they're worth the price of silver. But again, that's got silver in it if it's pre-1964. Or I should say 1964 or previous. This one's a 64, okay? The newer ones are just junk metal. So what else do we have here? Some old silver coins from the early 1900s, the Barber, what they call the Barber series. Not Barber getting a haircut. Barber was the name of the designer. And you have a $50, a quarter, Barber dime, Barber nickel, and then an Indian head penny on the end. It's a nice little collection of coins from that time in a handy holder. What's this? Oh, I made a necklace for somebody to wear out of the Walking Liberty half, which was an uncirculated coin, but once it starts getting worn around someone's neck, it will no longer be an uncirculated coin. I put the little devices on there to make it into a necklace. The rim and the chain, I will give that to one of my daughters to wear, or to Joanne. Joanne doesn't like to wear jewelry, so she has a nice cross that she wears, though, that I gave her and a gold chain I gave her to wear it on. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this one up for today. But I just wanted to give you my rambling thoughts on the silver market, since I had a question from one of my subbies in my last video all about what do you think silver will do on Monday, and it did pretty much exactly what I thought, which is skyrocket. So I took advantage of that by taking a little bit of profit off the table, and I'll let the rest ride. And I'll talk to you about the mining shares on a different day. Oh, I can show you this. This is when money was paper money was actually worth something. And the reason I say that is these are called, instead of Federal Reserve notes, these dollars are called silver certificates. See that at the top? Silver certificate. And what that means is you could redeem this for an ounce of silver, at a bank or the U.S. Mint. Okay? On the back, they look pretty much the same as today. And so at one time, our money was actually backed by something. I even have a gold certificate, $20 bill. It's really in bad shape. It's in terrible shape, but it's still interesting. I got it cheap because it was in such bad shape. But this is called a gold certificate. Do you see the seal? Let me get that lined up so you can see it. It says gold certificate. This $20 bill was redeemable you could get 1 ounce of gold in exchange for this note, okay? This $20 bill. But this date, let's see what the date is on here. 1926. Yeah. This was before we went off the gold standard. Before we stopped backing our money with silver and with gold. The date of this one is 1957. So after we went off the gold standard, you could have silver backing your money. But then we went off of that in the 1970s or mid-60s, I forget when. So I think I have a $5 silver certificate too. Yeah, here it is. There's one that's redeemable for 5 ounces of silver. Silver certificate. Abe Lincoln. They're even attacking the Lincoln Memorial these days. It's rather absurd, but anyway, that's that discussion of what constitutes money. I should talk sometime about Bitcoin, and I will. At one time I saw it as a scam, but I don't anymore. That doesn't mean I'm invested in it. I have invested in it as a momentum play from time to time, especially over the last year, because it was coming up on the time when they do the halving, and that's when it rises. Okay, so I wrote it up and sold most of my Bitcoin. I had some in PayPal, and I had some in a ticker symbol, which is a different way to buy it, basically. The Grayscale fund. But anyway, I sold most of that. I only have a little bit now because I don't trust it over the long term. However, it has its utility and purposes, which I'll go into sometime in the future. Portability across geographic locations and things like that. No middleman or intermediary. Peer-to-peer currency. All right, everyone, this is an hour-long video. So I hope it has put you to sleep, or at least been interesting and relaxed you. Take care, everyone. Until next time. Bye bye for now. Don't ASMR and drive.